Game time it is. Podcast time it is. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Sun City Leatherheads podcast. I'm JD Cercelli. That's Danny Ramirez over there. Danny, how we doing today?
What's going on, Jay? I'm doing well. How about you?
Oh, just watching so many, the rich get richer, and apparently we're the richest franchise in the world, but yeah, we don't have money to do crap. So, go Jerry Jones for failing us again. Woo!
He's playing with Monopoly money, that's why.
Oh yeah, do not pass go. Can we put him in jail? Like, is that a thing? Like, we'll just like lock him up for a while and get a real general manager. Like that would be great. Oh, George. So we have a lot of breaking news the last few days. We're talking about some injuries and some wins and just like things that like just surprised us or like just awed us. I'm sure over the weekend. What's crazy is that we laughed about it just right before we started going live. Is that both of our teams were on their bye week last week and didn't even really dawn on us because we were so talking about everything else and hate Jerry, and then the Bears are in the best division, and then all of a sudden we're like, wait, we don't get to talk about either team. What the heck's going on? So
Yeah, it was kind of weird, but it was nice at the same time because now we don't have to worry about our teams losing or nothing like that. We got to enjoy the misery of everybody else. In my case, it wasn't such that wasn't the case because the NFC North all won.
well, except
And
for the
so we were
Vikings,
true, right? But that
yeah,
was a hard
but they're
fought game,
five and
right?
one. Oh, that Darnold, it was crazy. So Darnold has to me is let, let's talk about the MVP, Danny, because like I hate this whole like how I feel about the whole MVP thing because don't touch the quarterback. We're gonna pass for 800,000 yards because we cater to them. And Patrick Mahomes apparently is the front runner to win the MVP. I'm like, this dude's not even playing better than half the quarterbacks in the league, and yet he's the MVP. No, get the hell out of here. Sam Darnold was playing lights out, just like Jared Goff in that game. I mean, they were just going toe to toe. Such a great game, and then to close it out, he just for like a minute, he turned into fidgety Sam Darnold. And I was like, no, like you could have wasted the clock. And he overthrows Jefferson. And mind you, his two receivers, one was undercutting Jefferson. And I think that's why Darnold threw it higher because he knew that receiver would try to jump for the ball also. So, like they were a little too close to each other for comfort. So that's why Darnold airmails it. And unfortunately, it goes over Justin Jefferson. That was the only thing that I saw in that game that Darnold was, a little fidgety, but he's been lights out. And to me, better than Mahomes and several other quarterbacks for MVP race if we're going to pick a damn quarterback. I don't know why you're not looking at Derrick Henry, who's like, I mean, annihilating the world right now running and just making Jerry Jones look more stupid, which I'm glad. I mean, that's great that he's doing that for us Cowboy fans and we can boo Jerry and, hate him all we want. But I hate the whole MVP thing where it's like, let's just favor someone who has I get the team's winning, but we're talking about most valuable player in a season, especially for one's team. Mahomes has six touchdowns to 8 interceptions. He is not lighting the world up like Mahomes fashion. He's not doing
Not this year.
anything. And he is since 2015, which is ironically the last quarterback to win a Super Bowl to start a season with an undefeated team with having more interceptions and touchdowns. That was Peyton Manning and that amazing Broncos defense. I hate this MVP talk about Mahomes. Like I get that he's a champion. I've seen all the things that he can do. He's amazing. But if we're going to over here
Yep.
sitting Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, like there's so many quarterbacks right now. If we're going to pick a damn quarterback for MVP that look way better than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, you can't recognize Mahomes based off, default, right? He's been probably the number one quarterback for the last several years, but you can't give it him just because of the Super Bowl wins. You have to go based off the impact that the individual's making to their team, right? Like a Derrick Henry, for example.
Right.
That dude came to the Ravens and is putting them on their back. He's feeling one of those things that were probably lacking with the Ravens offense for so many years, and now it's showing the value of it, right? So he deserves to be in the MVP talks. Another one could be Jared Goff. I mean, you can negate the type of production that he's having. I mean, he is looking so accurate with the football. He's not really having incompletions.
Talk.
And
Yes, I agree with everything you're saying. Like, you can't just pick the guy's history. You got to pick what's happening right now in front of us. And Jared Goff,
Absolutely.
like you said, he's averaging like maybe 4 incompletions a game. Like, how the hell is he not in front of Patrick Mahomes when he barely has any incompletions? And he sure as hell has a lot more touchdowns and interceptions than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that logic there. It shouldn't be because of what you've done or what you've accomplished in the past. It should be about what's going on today. These guys
Right,
deserve that, right? They deserve to be recognized. And both Sam Darnold, Jared Goff haven't been talks or in the MVP conversation, frequently in their careers. So they deserve this
right.
this spotlight.
It's their
And
moment, and it could pass them by just because the people want to favor the champion. I'm like, the
yeah,
whole team's winning. It's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not lining anything up.
yep, totally agree with you.
Whew. All right. Oh,
I
man,
I'm
we've
looking at I'm looking at the stats right now of the passing leaders, and hopefully I'm looking at the right, yeah, I'm looking at the right year, because it blows my mind to see the the leaders in terms of passing yards. Like, you have Baker Mayfield leading the league right now in passing yards, which is crazy.
Geno Smith. He to me,
Geno
he's been
Smith,
lights out way more than Patrick. And it's
yeah,
oh man, and you're hitting something so beautiful right now, Dan. You mentioned Baker Mayfield, and I mentioned Geno Smith, and I was gonna bring this up to you. This is what like Baker Mayfield was ran out of Cleveland. How has Cleveland looked with their quarterback play compared to since he left to what he's doing right now?
yep, looking
Woo!
great.
Right. And then someone who rejuvenated his career. I get like back then, even Sam Darnold, we'll throw his name in the mix. But right now we're talking about the two that we just mentioned. So Geno Smith gets ran out of town in New York. He's sure as hell better than number 8 right now because number 8 can't get a damn clue. And I'm sure he's pointing fingers like he's always doing. So man, but Geno's looking way better than Rodgers. Baker's looking better than anything Cleveland's putting out. And then you look at Sam Darnold, same team, the Jets. I mean, he's playing a hell of a lot better than Rodgers. And of
Hmm.
course, Wilson's a backup in Denver because Bo Nix is kicking ass in his own. So I mean, it's crazy. You rejuvenate your career. We talked about Chris Carter and that receivers or like people that people need to remember and stuff like that. And there's so many people that rejuvenate their legacy. Like Brett Favre, for most people that don't know, he didn't get drafted by Green Bay. He just made his legend in Green Bay. Jerome Bettis
Yeah,
didn't get drafted by Pittsburgh. He created his legend like legacy in Pittsburgh. Kurt Warner even like he
Marshall
was
Falk.
drafted. Marshall Falk. Kurt Warner's drafted by the Packers. They let him go. Of course, he made legacy in St. Louis, the Rams. Marshall Falk, same thing. He makes his legacy in St. Louis. So these people are doing that right now. Baker finds a home. They want him. They love him. And honestly, the jersey matches him. The Buccaneer moxie matches his pride, his fireness. So I am so happy that he is what he's doing. Like right now, they got steamrolled by Baltimore, but Baltimore's a juggernaut. They've been a juggernaut for 20 years since Harbaugh took over, right? So I mean, they've been to Super Bowls. They know what they're a well machine organization, and they just added great
Yeah,
pieces like we just talked about. Derrick Henry should be MVP, honestly. And then you look at Geno Smith. I mean, like he struggles. He didn't, he was with a defensive minded coach back then. His game was different. So he had to evolve. Well, the game, I guess, evolved with him, right? Like it's benefited him now. So, and he's lights out for Seattle. Like you picked them last week because you're like, I love their moxie. I love the way that they've been all year. And sure enough, they blew the hell out of the water of the Falcons. So, yeah, like, I mean, Sam Darnold, let's throw another one. Like he gets ran out from multiple teams. And like he said, like I got to watch Shanahan the way he was like, all right, the quarterback room. He was talking to Purdy, like hike, get the ball out, one read, second read. If it's not there, figure it out. And then it made him better, evolved, and there's a reason why Minnesota's 5-1 because they signed him in free agency to like all right, you're going to be competitive as a starter, or McCarthy's going to take it. And unfortunately, McCarthy gets hurt for the year as a rookie. So then, all right, Donald, you get the keys to the Lamborghini and see how you drive it. And so far, he's one of the main reasons they are 5-1. So it's great to see these guys shine, and who knows, maybe Bryce Young finally gets dealt by Carolina, and then he looks refreshed and better. So there's a lot of
Or
possibilities.
or maybe he rejuvenates his opportunity here with Carolina. No, he's starting this coming week
Is
because
he
yeah, because I'm trying to blank on the Red Rifle's name. What's his
Andy
name? Andy
Dalton?
Dalton.
The river.
So
I'm
so
down with
Andy
that. What's the
Dalton
river?
Andy Dalton got into a car accident yesterday, and so he
Oh,
got hurt because of that. He hurt his arm or his hand. So now with that, he's recuperating from that accident, and then now Bryce Young steps back in as a starting quarterback. So you never know. This might be an opportunity for him to possibly get his starting job back, but also hold on to it this time.
right.
You never
Well,
know.
let's all prayers go to Andy Dalton. Hopefully, all's well. He's okay. And then, yeah, Bryce, let's see what you can do. Right. This is probably your last opportunity to be the guy in Carolina. Right. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes, and hopefully, for his sake, it works out. Because I've always been a fan of the Panthers, like just the old Jake Delhomme, and then there's so many players, Mushin Muhammad, that I just liked growing up. Luke Kuechly, like if that dude's on the Hall of Fame soon, I don't know what did he go in
Oh,
already? Like
he
I don't know.
no, not yet. He'll be eligible this year, I think.
Okay, he's hands down one of the best linebackers in the last 20, 30 years. So, yeah, there's so many people that I loved watching, like Greg Olson. I mean, he even you know him because he was a Bear first, and he was
Yep.
amazing, and then he just didn't have the best quarterbacking at the time. Um, but yeah, man. So like these guys rejuvenating their career, and then with Drake May, right? Like the Patriots are obviously regrouping and rebuilding and stuff, but like he's shown some signs of where like it's not them getting beat down is not affecting his emotion status. You know what I mean? Like he's still just
Hmm.
throwing it out. He's like a gunslinger. He's like doing all the things you want to build around an empire with, right? So that I think he's doing good so far. Uh, Even though that they're in a small ship compared to everybody else's bigger ship. So yeah, we'll see how that goes going forward. But any other news you want to talk about, Danny? Man, we started
Well,
off hot, so woo.
yeah, we got right into it, right? Um, there's just a lot of news. I mean, we DeAndre Hopkins getting traded to the Chiefs. What do you think about that?
The stupid Bills. Because the Bills trade
Well,
away,
that
they give them Xavier Worthy. Now they got DeAndre Hopkins right next to him. And then when Rasheed Rice comes back, Danny, that's three guys that could just take it to the house at any play. And then you have Travis Swift, who's over there, being elusive and like saying hi to his baby kitty up there. And then like it's the richest getting richer. And it's sickening because our Alzheimer's mental distraught individual in Dallas is watching all this unfold, and he's just like, wow, that happened. And he's just watching all these players go to better teams and have a chance to compete and win. And then we're talking about DeAndre Hopkins, right? So let's talk about Cooper Kupp, another wide receiver who's apparently on the market. Like the Rams are apparently shopping him, which is crazy. So to me, Tennessee and LA are kind of like, well, we're just going to regroup after this year and we're going to tank right now.
Yeah, and that's surprising for me. And I've seen even rumors on Matthew Stafford being potentially traded to Minnesota. Did you see that?
Right. Like, I don't understand that either.
Yeah, that makes no sense. I mean, you're in the midst of a division battle where this is probably the best year for you to take advantage of kind of figuring yourself out during what, 7 weeks, going to 8 weeks now. So you have the Niners that are struggling, trying to find their identity. You have the Seahawks who have been up and down. They probably seem like the favorite to the point to this point, right? They seem like they're probably the most probably complete team out of the four that are in that division. So you trying to trade away a Cooper Kupp who's going to be a big part of that offense and the success of that team going forward. And then you even have your quarterback being a part of those trade talks, which yes, he's older. Maybe it is. Maybe it makes sense for the future to trade him now and recoup back some draft picks that you can use on potential a quarterback replacement or other key pieces. But right now, like this is a perfect year to compete with your division, and so you want
Right.
to retain those pieces and remain competitive, don't you
Especially
think?
when the rest of the team gets healthy. Like, I agree with you. Like, it's kind of, it's it's a slap in the face, one, to Sam Darnold, that this is a supposed rumor, right? Like you just built your team to a 5-1 record, who's one of the best teams in the NFL, one of the best records in the NFL, and then apparently you're hearing whispers that they're shopping it for another quarterback. Like, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, what are you doing? And that
Yep,
that that might make Minnesota stumble. Who knows? And what's ironic, Danny, they play tomorrow against each other. So like that's even
that's
more
true.
crazy. So it's it's a wild west right now. And if you're the NFC West, apparently, injuries and trade offers and everything going in between. But so yeah, and what? Okay, let's say Darnold just blows LA out of their own stadium. Do you still potentially listen to the rumor? Like you're like, oh well, maybe should we trade or what? Like, no, like what are you doing? Like you have a 5-1 record. It's working. And what have I told you for a long time? Jacksonville Jaguars make it to the AFC Championship game. What did they do? They blew up their team, and what have they looked like since? The
Yeah,
Minnesota Vikings, before Kirk Cousins, they make it to the NFC Championship game. They blew up that team, and then they took a few years struggle before they got Kirk Cousins, and then now they are who they are. They're looking good, but I'm like, there's so many. Look at the Raiders. Like before John Gruden, before that fiasco, Jack Del Rio had that team rolling, and then at the very end, Derek Carr got hurt in that season of Del Rio, and they were like in playoff contention. They were looking good. And then there you go again. There's the Raiders like blowing up everything when they were already making progress. And to me, it just don't blow up what's working. Like Darnold
yeah,
is in that facility, he's making things work. Like it's meshing well. And then you're hearing like Aaron Jones, who's from our hometown, El Paso, Texas, saying, "Man, these guys just love each other, and it's just like a family." And I've never been a part of it. Well, that family is about to get a divorce, and like someone's about to cheat apparently, because you're over here listening to rumors of like there might be a better man on out there, for the team. So I'm like, don't shake the tree. And there's a beehive in there, because that beehive might just fall on your ass. So I mean,
you remind me of what's his name, the basketball player. I'm trying to blank from Minnesota, Anthony Edwards. Go
you
get your
say so
ass.
and go get your ass. But yeah, it's I'm just saying, like, why are we trying to shake up the damn tree when the tree's looking it's blooming beautiful apples? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
So
I mean, we talked about it last week with the Steelers, right? And I gotta give them credit, right? Because they put in Russell Wilson when things were working pretty good, with Justin Fields. And even like I don't know if you paid attention to some of the interviews that the players were conducting or doing last week prior to that game on
buff,
Sunday
buff,
night.
before the game, right?
Yeah, they were
Yes.
all like voicing their support for Justin Fields and
It was
just
50-50, and
right. And there's just some confusion there, right? But in the end, it worked out for them, and they won on Sunday night. Russell Wilson did look better. I gotta give him that. He did look like a better quarterback behind center. But who knows, right? We don't know if it's sustainable. We've seen the ups and downs of Russell Wilson, even with this time in Denver. But with all that being said, I'm referring to the Steelers because they're playing a risky game where their culture is good, right? But as soon as you start changing things and trying to, perhaps in this case with the Vikings, get other players when things are working good, that messes up the culture, right? That messes up that winning culture that you're trying to establish. And then from Sam's Darnold point of view, this poor guy was drafted by the Jets and then bounced around from team to team. And every team that he's been on, he has never looked this poised. He has never looked this in control of an offense, and it seems like he's figured it out with Kevin O'Connell. And so I
amazing.
hope for, yeah, I hope for his sake he stays there and really shows them, what he's able to do for them. Because right now, 5-1, I mean, you can't beat that.
Right. And obviously I know he's in your division and stuff, and AJ's there, and there's so much, in your division, but I have to root for someone like that. Like, I honestly hope they destroy LA tomorrow, just so he can be like, you want that guy across the street when I just whooped his ass? Yeah, go for it. You know what I mean? Like, I, I,
Yeah,
I just hope that happens, because I mean, it's not even a slap in the face. It's like a punch in the jaw. Like, you're hitting a man when the man's actually doing well, right? Like, he's like on a ship, and he's like managing that ship, and he's like the guy that's in the front, and just like, oh, and then you're over here like hitting him and trying to make him go off course. And I'm like, dude, why are you doing that? Like, let him ride the ship.
he can do no right, right? So
Right. Oh, it's yeah, poor guy. I feel for him. But man, yeah, so there's of course Jaden Daniels leaves the game last week, but of course the Commanders destroy the Panthers because they're such a mess, which is crazy. And like you're saying, about the Jets and the Steelers, right? So like I said, the Steelers were gonna win because they're at home, and I just trust that defense more than I do trust the entire Jets. And then so Saleh leaves, the defense looks worse. They look lost at times. Aaron Rodgers is like, giving those like stupid faces like always, like
eating
and I'm
boogers on the sideline.
I don't know. I hope not. I didn't see that part, but I mean at that point might as well. But I'm just saying, like
Yeah, he's like,
he's. But
you didn't see
it's
the
just
video?
no. I hope I don't want to at this point. Like that's a thing.
Yeah, he's denying it, but it was clear as day that he was so frustrated that his boogers were probably a better treat for him that day. But
Maybe, but at this point, it's got to be number 8. Like there's no reason to not blame the quarterback at this point. Like there was a guy, one of the Cowboys things I follow on Instagram. It might have been Law Nation or whatever. Hopefully we can have him as a guest one day. He's got a lot of popularity. But so one of the Cowboys things, it was about, I think it was him. I think it was Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman maybe Troy, like, are you bleeping kidding me? What is going the hell on here? Like a true leader. And then I'm like, number 4 will never be at that level. Let's just put that out there. Number 4 will never, ever be at that. Like, I'm going to make sure that you guys be in your place and put you in your place. But one guy was like, well, I blame the coach at that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, if the coach ain't going to be rah, 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 then the next person that needs to step up is your damn starting quarterback. So him doing that is hell of a lot worth it. And Rodgers, you have your head coach is gone. Then you're like blaming the Mike, was it Mike Williams, right? Is the other receiver that they got from the Chargers. So he blames him the week before they get Devontae. Then they reunited and it feels so good until you freaking lose. And then, Rodgers was looking like trash yet again. I mean, the offensive line was not helping him. Like they were getting trounced by Pittsburgh's front 7. But at the same time, I'm like, who's throwing the picks? It's not Saleh. It's not
yeah,
Ehrlich or Berlich or whatever the interim coach is, but it's crazy. Ulrich, there you go. Ulrich. I mean, it's crazy to not finally blame him. Like everyone's been on his back and it's just like, well, Rodgers is good. But I mean, we've seen the same damn story every time it doesn't go his way.
At this point, I think it would have been better if he didn't tear his Achilles last year, right? Because
Right.
you would have got to see
Absolutely.
this version of Rodgers, last year. And from there, they would have recognized that, Rodgers is getting too old. No matter how many weapons we get him, it's not going to help the cause. And I think Devontae Adams being the latest addition is just showing that even with him and even having that past chemistry is not going to help this team. Like, there's just something wrong with the culture of this team. And maybe it was Saleh that kind of initiated it, and maybe it's the players. Who knows at this point? But I feel sorry for the New York Jets fans because at this point, they've invested so much time, so much money
70 years or whatever.
And now it's like they're going to have to start from scratch, right? Eventually it's going to blow up in their face. They're going to have to, rebuild their entire organization. All their key players are probably going to ask to be traded somewhere else. And so they have to start from scratch. And of course, we all know like rebuilds take time. They're not going to happen over a couple years. Sometimes in this case for the Jets, it's been 20 years. Like they haven't been relevant in quite some time other than when Mark Sanchez, came on. But it just sucks to see that no matter how many people they bring in or who has a relationship with Rodgers, it's clearly not working. And I think the common denominator here is Rodgers.
Right. And you brought up a good point about last year, right? But like the defense, the special teams, for some odd reason, it's a lot of the same players, but last year, overall, the team was better. It's just the quarterback lacked. So maybe if he doesn't tear his Achilles last year, it actually does work. And then he's happy and he's, feeding Saleh roses and, pretending to be best friends until he didn't want to. But it's one of those things we'll never know, but he is a common denominator to destroy potential uplifting things. And look at the Packers right now, Danny. Without him, they
Yeah,
have
they're still a
they're
well-oiled
in
machine.
they're in fourth place. Well, the win last year and Chicago having the bias, Chicago's back down, but they're basically in third and fourth place in a division who's exceeding all the expectations by all four teams technically because as a group, but they're whooping people and looking fresh, looking free, not feeling the desire to like compete with number 12 and his media and his podcast and him going on the damn Pat McAfee show and being dumb. Like they could just be
There's
themselves.
yeah, there's no divas in that locker room.
Right.
And you know what the ironic thing is, and I don't know if you saw this, is guess where Robert Sala is right now?
The Green Bay Packers. Oh, and you know what? That's showing me that they truly get it and they want to win. Like Dallas
Yeah,
don't even go after him to help the defense, but Matt LaFleur bringing in him to help him to help him move the offenses, to help him exchange like defensive schemes and minds. Like in that, like he gets it. He wants to win, and we're over here just slapping each other's penises. So who knows? But it hats
sword
off to
fighting.
Sala. Yeah, they're over here slapsticking. So hats off to Sala and LaFleur to be man enough to be like, you know what, like we're winning, but like, what if we could take the next step?
Yeah,
So the NFC North. I was telling my few of my uncles and my brother in a group chat this past week that the NFC East, the West, the South at this point, all of them have to win their division in order to make the playoffs. Because more than likely, the NFC North is going to represent at least three, at least.
wow, you
And
think
who
so?
and
That'd be the
and
first time one.
well, I think someone's done it before. But if the playoffs started now, Danny, all four teams would be in. So that would be the first. An entire division would be in the playoffs.
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, you have a lot of teams. If you look at the divisions right now, like the NFC West, for example, a lot of four win. Well, the Seattle Seahawks are a
Three
four-win
and
team,
four. Yeah.
3-4, right? So they're all right there, but they're just beating each other up.
Right.
The NFC North right now, we're all 4-2. Everybody has 4 or 5 wins in that division,
Right.
but we haven't really played each other yet, right? So we're gonna get to that point where we're all beating up on each other,
Right.
uh,
And we'll see what
and
happens.
but at this rate, like when that happens, the way that it's kind of going with the parity in the league, like the rest of the NFC better watch out because if they're not winning the games they're supposed to be winning, the NFC North is probably going to have 4 teams in.
Right. Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. Like Dallas is on a short leash at this point because
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not going to be able to get into the wild card at this point. You're going to just have to like win the damn division. And honestly, like you said about beating each other up, right? Philly and Dallas and Washington haven't like clashed at all yet. So they're going to start beating each other up too. So we'll see at the end who wins the division. But yeah, they have to win the division to get in, for my opinion.
All right. Keep talking. I'm listening to you. I'm gonna turn my camera off. I'm going to plug in my computer real quick before it dies.
All right. So breaking news that Lion wide receiver Jamison Williams is facing a 2-game suspension for performance enhancing substances. And then there was another trade that me and Danny forgot to mention, and that is the Seahawks are trading Jerome Baker and a 4th-round pick to Tennessee for Ernest Jones the fourth. So this is another team, Danny, which I think are all in Seattle, right? They're getting Ernest Jones the fourth, who's been like great for Tennessee right now. So they're trying to go all in and get the pieces that they're possibly missing. So this is another thing, man. And what's crazy, Dan? You want to hear a stat? The Raiders cannot get anything right? So we all know that. Aiden O'Connell is the last quarterback to beat Patrick Mahomes. Think about that.
Oh wow.
Think about that. So, and that's the wildest and craziest thing. So who knows? I don't. Do they play each other this week? Is that why they're showing it? But he's hurt
I
anyway,
think
so I
so.
think I think it's gonna be Gardner Minshew mania. So
And and did you see the Raiders now with that injury? They picked up Desmond Ritter from the Cardinals practice squad, I believe.
really, Desmond? Why are we
Yeah,
going? No, why are we going for some people that can't even throw the ball? Like, what are we doing?
I don't know. Maybe that's who. That maybe that's the type of quarterbacks they want in Las Vegas. I don't know.
Out
The
of all
offense,
the backups that the league has, you went for Desmond Ritter, a Cooper Rush who is a quiet individual. He's like He's like Cooper Rush is like the quarterback version of Mari Cooper. He's quiet. He doesn't do much, but he gets shit done. When Dak is hurt and we have to throw him in, he has a better winning record than most quarterbacks in the league, including Dak. So I'm like, just because he's not flashy, just because he doesn't talk, just because he's not Hollywood, people crap on him. Just like the Darnold thing, right? Darnold's not a flashy guy. He's not, lining it up or whatever, but he gets the job done. That's the whole point, is to get the damn job done and get a victory.
yeah. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I
I'm
got you.
far from
Yeah,
my mic. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what the Raiders are doing. That's
I
you've talked about the Cowboys and Jerry Jones being questionable in their decisions and improving their team. Like the same thing could be said about the Raiders. They went into the season with Minshew and O'Connell. And to their point, I mean, to their credit, they did try to go for Justin Fields, but Justin Fields wanted to go to Pittsburgh. So that didn't happen. But there's just a lot of opportunities. Like Sam Darnold was out there and the Vikings picked him up, right? Now we're
Russell
talking
Wilson
about
was out there.
Russell Wilson. Yeah, you're right. Russell Wilson was out there. And they even had Jimmy G on the team last year. And Jimmy G, I think, would have been a better quarterback right now if he
Where
was the starting
where is
quarterback.
he at?
The Rams.
He's the backup.
He's a backup. I think Stetson Bennett's like over him.
How was Bennett over Garoppolo? Like, no. But
I don't
man, but
know,
you know
but
what, Jimmy
McVay.
G, if he would just not have injuries, he would have had a stellar career, because his accuracy is there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
he's like another version of Alex Smith. It's wild. Like all these injuries and just things that built up. And
I bet you Jimmy G would have success with the Minnesota Vikings offense. Like he just looks like the type of quarterback that would fit that offense
you know
and
who I think
understands it well.
he'd actually fit in well too? The New York Giants.
Yeah,
Because the Giants are not built to be flashy right now. Just like when Coughlin was there, like let's just ground and pound, get the play action passes. Let's play physical on defense. And Jimmy G is just like, all right, cool. I'll throw 5 passes, 6 passes until we could get the big ball. And what happens with dude, Danny Pennies, man? Like I don't understand. I actually gave them faith and hope and trust that they would, damn, excuse
bless
me.
you.
Thank you. So like I told you, he actually usually plays well against Philly. So I'm like, man, Philly does boneheaded things. They just can't. But Brian Dable's probably the next coach that's probably going to get canned. Like, there's no
Well,
way.
you know what's funny, and you probably can't see it if I brought it up to the screen because it's on X right now. But literally, Adam Schefter just quoted John Mara's quote or comments about them not making any changes after this season because he believes in Dayball and Shane as the GM and the head coach.
He
So,
says
which
that
is
now.
right. And you know who made him look silly this past week? It wasn't Daniel Jones. It was Barkley. Barkley coming up and almost breaking his single career
His
rushing.
career high. Yeah. And did
Yeah.
you hear? Did you hear? Sirianni went to go talk to him. And he's like, hey man, you're like a few yards away from your career high. Like, I don't mind. Like, I'll put you in so you can do it, or I kind of want let you guys rest a bit too. And he was like, nah, man, let the young guys eat. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, he gets it. Like that. See, to me, that is someone you could build a championship around, because he's like,
Yep.
nah, man. Like, if we're beating the crap out of them, let me have fresher legs for next week. Let's not kill me. Let the young guys who are not starting, like, get them some work, get them in the game. Like, that was awesome. Like,
And who's the leader right now on their offense in New York? Right? I don't nobody. I don't think
Dan,
there's anybody there that's a leader. Neighbors is still too young. to be.
Danny Pennies ain't doing nothing. Like
Nah, that dude's
like
just
the same
pouting and
same thing with Dak, right? Like if your coach ain't gonna be rah, you gotta be the next one in line. Like you're the head starting quarterback. Like you gotta be the one. Not here we go, here we go,
I bet
Aubrey,
you that
here we
gets
go.
I bet you that gets old too as a Cowboys fan hearing here we go when you're down by like 35 at halftime.
Yeah, it
It's
wouldn't
like,
get old if he scored a damn touchdown. No, it's like here we go, Brandon Aubrey. Here we go, Brandon Aubrey.
but
Yeah,
well,
dude.
as you can see, I have here the title to our next segment, which is called Trade Chips. Basically, what we're doing, we're already talking about all the recent moves that have happened in the league, but as we're talking about, like the LA Rams being potential sellers, right? Or the Titans now we know are sellers. What are some teams that are maybe not producing well enough now through 8 weeks that you would consider sellers? And what are some players from those teams that you think would benefit somebody else, like a Dallas Cowboys team that's looking for a step up, right, in motivating their team and having just a playmaker. It could be both
Damn.
on offense or defense.
I thought you
Um,
were gonna offer me some like Doritos or something, trade chips. I was like, I'm down.
right, chips
But
do sound good right now.
but no, I get you. So a buyer and seller basically, like who can sell and who can buy, and it'll definitely progress the team. Well, you mentioned the stupid run organization by the GM and owner by Jerry Jones, right? The Dallas Cowboys. Alvin Kamara has been brought up as trade rumors and like we said before we started going live, like how does someone hear about it if they're in the facilities, if their job is to find out that there's possible talks and possible wanting people wanting to be out? How does it become a rumor if it's not technically somewhat true? So I think Kamara may have said something, or someone said something about Kamara, and then things started happening. So if we trade for Alvin Kamara, the run game would excel tremendously. Zeke has had his time. They beat him up so much in his early career that he just can't. He can't do it. Rico Dowdle, on the other hand, being a second under Kamara, like he was technically to Pollard last year, that would be great. You know? So Kamara,
Hmm.
Pollard, and then if you look on the defensive side, Cleveland is clearly done. Your quarterback's hurt and done. The team is just white, like just not relevant. And you have a Miles Garrett, who I'm sure is not happy, but he is. What's cool is that he's manned the ship as best he can, right? Like he's in Cleveland, like the Cleveland Browns, one of the worst ran organizations in the history of since Jim Brown and all them left in the 60s. So what if Dallas goes get some Miles Garrett to help with the run game? And that can exceed. You have Micah, Lawrence, Garrett, and then you put OC next to Garrett, and then you have the young, fresh linebackers that we have. Like that could take the step forward. Like I doubt we can trade for both. We technically could, but Jerry's pretending we don't have money. Yes, Dad mentioned that's my father, ladies and gentlemen, Fernando Valenzuela, an MLB player who is actually from El Paso and did great things for the Major League Baseball. He passed away today. So Cesar Chavez
That's
Jr., Fernando Valenzuela, a lot of local legends in sports for El Paso. But yeah, rest in peace, and thank you for giving El Paso something to cheer for.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was heartbreaking to hear that news, just simply because he was still pretty young, 63 years old, and already,
Dude, I'm saying,
passing away.
yeah, my godfather is 62, so they're literally a year apart, and then they're tipping. Like you never know. 25 to 89, it doesn't matter. Like when you're going, you're going, no question. But thanks for chiming in. So yeah, I mentioned Miles Garrett and Alvin Kamara for the Dallas Cowboys that could tremendously help the team buy and sell. So we talked about Cooper Cup, right? So
Yeah.
Cooper Cup for a team that's like almost there, or like potentially like taking the next step. You said Pittsburgh is apparently on the market, or like that's the biggest name, right? Can you imagine they're already doing well, and then you put him next to a Pickens if he stays healthy, and then you already have that physicality, like that can work in tremendous ways. And plus, now you have a more aerial dynamic with Russell Wilson instead of a physical ground and pound game with Justin Fields. So that could definitely work. Is there any
Yeah,
team that you think should go after someone or possibly?
I was also thinking about the Cowboys. Not for Miles Garrett, not for really not any pass rusher. I feel like their pass rushing will get better, as of course D Lawrence comes back and my
Micah?
Micah. Thank you. I always mess up all these M
Yeah,
names. Miles,
right.
Micah. But yeah, once they come up, I think their defense will come back to form. So I'm not too worried about the defense there, but I really worry about the offensive side, right? So we're talking about running backs. That's like their biggest weakness. And I think a good one, like you mentioned, is Alvin Kamara. Another one that would be a little bit more ballsy and maybe be a little bit more expensive is trading for somebody like a Tank Bigsby, right, from Jacksonville.
Ooh, right,
He's already splitting time with Travis Etienne, and for him to get an opportunity to be that premier back with another franchise, I think he would jump at that opportunity. And I don't think we've seen the potential of what he can be because he's always been in the shadows. So he would be maybe that would probably take a second, maybe a third round pick, just depending on how much you're willing to give up. Another one would be on the wide receiver spot, right? So for the Cowboys, they're dealing with not having Brandon Cooks. So why not make a splash and trade for T Higgins, right?
right. T
We've
Higgins.
we've
I've been saying that name for how long? Like, dude, put T Higgins in
oh
our
yeah.
squad.
I mean, it's the perfect opportunity. The Bears did it last year with Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat was going into his last, or was essentially his last year in his contract. So of course the Washington Commanders were not going to pay him. So once he did seek out a trade, he was looking for that trade and also an extension. Why
Right,
can't you do that with the T Higgins, right?
right.
You
And you
already
have the
paid a lot of
money.
money. Yeah, you have the money clearly, and then you have CD Lamb who you've already locked up. Why not lock him up with another, tier B? He's not really a tier B. He's like a 1B, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah, because he can be a starter at a bad team. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, you put him next to Lamb, and then when Cooks comes back, you put him, Cooks, Tolbert, and Higgins together. Like that'd be crazy and great stuff. But we're just living
Or a
in
cheaper
Jerry's world.
or a cheaper alternative. If you don't want to spend, that type of draft capital, why not go after a disgruntled Mike Williams,
Right. Yeah, because
for
he's
like
already
a
getting
fourth or fifth?
yeah, he's getting crapped on by his quarterback. So I was thinking about that as soon as he was like talking shade about Mike. I was like, why don't we go after him? Because I'm like, he could be a perfect goal line guy. I mean, just jump ball, go get it. You're tall, you're physical. Like, I mean, we don't need you to take us down the field. We have Lamb for that. So just, if we get in the 20s, like just go get that jump ball. Like Des Bryant, man. Like no one at that time, besides maybe
High pointed it.
Megatron and yeah, like Des was just so perfect at the jump. Megatron, which is Calvin Johnson, for those that want to know his real name, and then Andre Johnson, they were taller than Des, but like for some reason, Des can match their height and just like jump ball that like crazy.
He had
So
those hops.
right, yeah, like he was like he'd go like 5 feet in the air and just like whoop, and then Mike Williams could do that with his height. So, man, we live in Jerry's world, Danny. It ain't gonna nothing's gonna happen. He's trash. What about another team that like that's not our teams? Like, do you have anybody that could use somebody?
So I'm thinking like I think the Vikings are good with the way that their team lays right now. Packers too. Um, the Bears, I don't really see them making a big splash like they have been these last 2 years. But and we're talking about like the Falcons. The Falcons could be another team, right? They're kind of in the cusp of being a pretender or a contender,
Right.
and so having a somebody like a Mike or somebody on the defensive side come in and really impact their team, like that could probably take them over the top and really solidify that division lead, right? So
Oh,
I can see them being an active participant in the trade
and
discussions.
and actually, we're talking about that same division at this point. Buccaneers just lost Chris Godwin for the year.
Hmm.
So what if they might be a potential trade person, right? Like, hey, let's go get someone to help out Mike Evans when he comes back, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And they play Atlanta again, so this is their second meeting. So like, if they go 0-2 against Atlanta, it's not going to look good. And then now you're injured, so how is that going to help Baker? It's probably not. So you should have probably thought about it before this game. Like as soon as Chris Godwin got hurt, and you seen all these people on potential trade blocks, you should have been like, yo, Cooper Cup or anybody, like, can we get somebody? Because I'm like, your division's on the balance right now with this game. Because if you guys go into the playoffs with the same record and then you lost twice to your division foe, like they're gonna give the edge to the Falcons.
Yeah. That's a good team. I think that that makes a lot of sense for them to stay in the race, right? Really, because
Right.
losing two wide receivers in the same night, like,
Oh
yeah,
my,
that's going to
how
be a big
atrocious.
problem.
And Danny, Chris Godwin's a free agent next year. So like
I
this was
know.
his last year. And who knows, like with an injury, do they trust him to be like he probably becomes a free agent and goes somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
dang,
I think a lot
crazy.
of teams are probably going to avoid him because I mean, Godwin has a long injury history, right? And he's always getting hurt. He's tearing his ACL. He's hurting his foot, in this case, his ankle now. So there's just a lot of lower leg injuries that make you nervous as a GM in paying somebody that kind of money.
Right.
So perhaps he may wait a little bit before he finds the right match, like Kansas City. You never know.
Stupid Bills. Man,
But
it's
yeah,
crazy.
I think another team. We mentioned Seattle. I think Seattle's always really looking to improve. They shown that today. But another team could be like the LA Chargers, right? The LA Chargers,
Oh,
even though they're not the favorite in their division, they're still in the race for the
right.
playoff positioning. So they're weak at wide receiver, right? Why
Why
wouldn't they want to upgrade?
dude, T Higgins at that team would just be woo.
Yeah,
You have an
man.
accurate quarterback, and then boom, just on because they play physical already. That would be great.
Yeah, that's what they're missing. They're missing a big physical receiver, and now that they lost Keenan Allen, they don't have that.
Right. And then yeah, and then the second year guy Johnson, like this dude's already injured. I'm like, dude, if you're gonna start this way, a year and a half, like I don't know, are you gonna
Yeah,
make it or what? He's fragile.
he's another Mike Williams,
Uh,
right?
damn, Mike Williams, man, he's had it rough the last 2 years for sure. Shoo.
So I think we pretty much this was a pretty quick segment, but I
That
think
was, it
we
was
got the
fun,
yeah. It's cool to see. I mean, we always do this every year, right? We talk about Madden, and what do we do when we're playing franchise mode, right? We're looking for who's available,
right?
and I'm
Well,
sure
I
these
just
teams.
I don't even look who's available. I just go and say like I'm gonna give you a shit ton of draft picks, and then let's go, and then they say yes or no. And that's
You're
honestly that's how I build my team.
essentially you're doing everything that Jerry doesn't do. So what you're saying, right?
Absolutely, sir. I build a gauntlet because I'm like, dude, no, like if I accidentally simulate your ass, like I want you to win when I'm not playing. So yeah, I do I what I do from the jump, which I think every GM should try to do every year at this point, especially if you have a damn Dak Prescott, adjust their salary per year. Like, hey, let's restructure your contract. Let's give us some breathing room. That's exactly what I do at first. Is like I restructure everyone who's gonna give us the biggest pain of cap leverage. And then after that, then I'm like, okay, then we can afford a few pieces. So then after that, I'm like, hey, I'll give you a second round this year, a third round next year. And then if they say yes or no or whatever, then I just keep adding the draft picks. Or if I have a player that that wasn't on my squad when I took over the team that I'm like, you're tradable. Then I add that person, and then I just keep trading away draft picks. I'm like, I want to win now and not in 30 years. Like that's just asinine.
Yeah. And honestly, like I've kind of struggled with this, right? Our past GM and Ryan Pace, like he was very aggressive in the sense that he would trade away draft capital for potential players, and it's good, but it's good if you're trading for the right players, right? And if
Right,
you're trading for the
absolutely.
right players, you're trading for the right players, they're gonna improve your team. But if you're trading for the wrong players, it's gonna set you back. Those players don't work out, and then you're left without those selections when it comes draft time. and so you're not getting better
Name
either way.
name a few players, Danny, that just didn't work out in Chicago when he was there.
One of them, well, of course, can be, and this wasn't Ryan Pace. It was Ryan Poles. Chase Claypool is an example, right? Recently, Chase Claypool, we traded away a second round pick to the Steelers, and we had two second round picks that year because that was one of the picks that we got from the Khalil Mack trade. But with that trade, we traded them the earlier pick rather than
Right.
trading them the
This
later
the
pick.
later pick.
And Chase Claypool was just one of the laziest people that we could have traded for,
That's
right?
so crazy.
Granted, we didn't know that then, but still, like those are the types of things. And in regards to Ryan Pace, like he would trade away our draft capital when it came on draft night. One of them being Justin Fields, right? Yes, maybe with that one I wasn't too opposed to that idea because we needed a quarterback at that point. We were past the Mitch Trubisky experiment. But another one
Mitch,
could be
Mitch.
like when we traded Khalil Mack, right? We traded for Khalil Mack. We traded away two first round picks. Or when we traded for, I think we were, I can't remember the exact draft position in the 2016 draft, but we were probably middle teens. And so what we did was we took a middle teen pick, traded away. I can't remember the draft capital that we traded away, but we essentially traded away a second round the next year to move up 4 or 5 spots to draft Leonard Floyd. We didn't make the right selection there, right? Leonard Floyd did contribute here and there, but it wasn't worth the draft capital that we gave up. So those are the
Right.
types of things that it can work, but you just have to be sure on the player you're trading for.
I would never draft or I would never trade away picks on draft day.
Oh yeah,
It'd be rare. Like I would like the draft is what you need, right? It's like you got to get what you need. Like, hey, we need a few pieces here, a few pieces there. And then later, after you see what's going on, then you're like, all right, what do we want? What can help? What want can help the need most? And that's when I like go and upgrade because I'm like, there's the need and want have to they have to coexist, right? Like the need is there to build your squad, the want is there to complete it, and you got to put that want next to a need that can that the one is going to be able to flourish and help the need progress. So
yeah.
yeah, that's the way I look at it.
It's a risky business, but I mean, you just have to be sure, and it's
He
not
he
so
doesn't
bad when you
he
have.
does not trust. I'm thinking about right now what you said. He does not trust Shane. He does not trust Dayball. Like he's just saying that right now. He wants to say the right things. There's no way.
He wants to be political correct, right? Politically correct with
Right.
his response. Yeah, I mean, time will tell. And right now, from an outsider's perspective, from the typical eye, it's not looking good for New York. Rather than them improving their team, it's like they're kind of spiraling downwards.
Right.
And it's crazy because they drafted potentially the best wide receiver in this year's draft. Like he's probably hands down the best receiver that will make like a Jamar Chase type of impact on a team, but he just doesn't have the supporting cast around them. And again, that goes back to who they put around them, right? Who they trusted in Daniel Jones, or
No Barkley.
imagine if exactly imagine if they would have had Barkley right now, they would have had that leadership right now, and they would have fought a little bit better, I think.
I think they would probably could have been in contention with the like the Cowboys and Eagles, right? Like
Yeah,
they're like 2 games behind, but I think they could have beaten at least one more game.
yeah, I agree. You know what though? Like in watching the NFC East, and granted, I don't watch a lot of NFC East. I watch more the Cowboys than anything else, but um, the Washington Commanders remind me a lot of the Cowboys defense. Like just the way they run to the football, they generate turnovers. Like it's a splitting image, and I think that's the Dan Quinn identity that he's kind of instilled
The
into that
effect.
Washington. Yeah, you can see it already, and that's scary because they don't have. They're without Jonathan Allen, for example. Like he got hurt the week prior, and he's out for the
Right.
year. So even without a big presence like that, they're still, being really successful in the way that they play defense. So that's cool to see. It's kind of like the Vikings, right? Where we wonder if it's sustainable. Right now everything's all,
Hunky
going
dory.
great. Yep. and what's going to happen when they string up two consecutive losses, or what's the dynamic, what is the culture going to be like, and can they overcome that type of adversity? Time will tell. All right, I think we've gotten to a point where we can start recapping or highlighting the week 8 matchups. What do you think?
Woo, let's do it.
And I didn't have a chance to tally up
You
our
say that
picks from
every
last
time,
week.
sir. Oh my goodness. I feel like
Sorry,
this
I
is
have a career, all right? I'm
I
sorry.
feel like this is a fraud tally. But
All right.
is
No,
Gabe here?
no,
What
it's
happened to
not.
Gabe? What happened?
I don't know. Like, those are all the picks. I have them there. So it's not. I'm keeping track of them, right?
The Chargers let us down, that's for damn sure.
Oh, yeah. That's an X right there.
We both picked
You
them. Man,
you picked the Bucks. I picked the
I
Ravens.
know.
You picked the Steelers. I picked the Jets. So we traded some teams here and there. The Pats let us down, right?
Oh my god. Yeah, they lost to Jacksonville. No one loses to Jacksonville except the Patriots, apparently.
The Texans let us down.
Oh my god. Don't get me started with them. And they played bad.
Oh,
And they barely
yeah.
lost. Like, imagine if they actually played better. Like, what the heck?
That's the thing, and now it got me thinking about it. Like that, this was a conversation I wanted to have with you because we expected so much from like the Steelers, from the Texans, from the Jets. Like those three teams were the ones that we were looking forward to seeing develop, right? And it seems like the Steelers are probably like out of the three,
The most
the ones
consistent.
that, yeah, the ones that have really lived up to the hype.
Right.
Uh, the Jets are a dysfunctional mess right now, but the Texans, like, yes, they lost Nico Collins, but they still have the team around them, and it just seems like all the teams they should be beating on, they're not beating on. Like,
Right.
there's just a lot of close games, and it's kind of scary.
The
for
contender and
Texans fans.
pretender, like, is floating around there because when are you going to win a big boy game? You know, like, it's.
Yeah. So I mean, right now they're okay because they're probably the best team in that division. But when it comes to competing with the
Probably
likes
no,
of,
they are, but it's just that they need to be better teams. You know, like they're gonna get their ass stomped on in the playoffs if they don't.
yeah, and the other thing is like Anthony Richardson, man, he's
Dude,
playing himself out of a
what I
starting role.
say since day one: ditch Mitch and ditch Rich.
Gotta go with the rhymes, huh?
It's working. I've been
And
2-0 with those ones. Dude, and they have Flacco. Like, and okay, going back to the Browns, right? We're like, man, they're a mess. They hit lightning last year with Flacco. Like, I don't know why they just didn't keep him just in case Watson like folded again, which he did, and now he's injured. So, I mean, does Jameis Winston give you enough juice to like make you anything?
I mean, at this point, he's probably a more natural born leader than Watson. So he might motivate them a little bit more, right?
But can he be
But
accurate like Flacco?
no. I mean, Flacco, that's one of his strong suits.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean,
And we're talking about the Texas woes, right? Like, what the heck are they doing? What if the coach just like sneakily, like they're like a game behind or something? What if they sneakily just kind of like beat up Houston later on?
yeah, I can see that happening. Like,
Yeah.
and then they're getting DeForest Buckner back. Like,
Right.
you never know. I mean, they can be competitive, and they've shown to be already competitive against like the likes of a Houston Texans team.
Oh
So
my God. Baltimore versus Cleveland. Oh, Jesus. Oh my God. That's Winston's first start. Good luck, my friend. Oh,
watch him
man.
win that one.
Dude, that'd be epic, to be honest. It's a division game, so you never know. All right, it's Danny Ramirez. Let's go. The Minnesota Vikings or the Los Angeles Rams?
This is easy for me. I think Minnesota's going to want to get that loss out of their mouth, right?
I thought you were gonna pick the
And
Rams.
no, I'm not that
they're
bold.
your number 2 favorite. You're their number 2 team,
Right? I know, but still, I don't believe in them that much.
So
And the one thing though, they are getting Cooper Cup back, and Puka's coming back.
Just to trade for him, just to trade him. Like, hey,
Right.
welcome back. You're off over here.
You're going to Pittsburgh, buddy.
Your plane's this way, sir. The other plane's that way, and you're over here. That's awesome. All right.
So
All right. So I think Sam Darnold's going to channel in his own Kirk Cousins for this game because of all this trade talk and all these people like, just undermining him still, even though he's been playing in an MVP caliber league. He's going to be like, you like that? I just whooped that dude's ass with that rumor that you guys were saying that you wanted him instead of me. That's
okay, I thought he was gonna channel his inner Kirk Cousins in the sense that he's not gonna win in prime time. I thought that's what you were trying to imply.
No.
Good, we got clarification now, so we're good.
Well, actually, he's been doing pretty good in prime time. It's the other games he's lost.
All right, so Minnesota.
Yeah, both Minnesota. All right, so the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cincinnati Bengals. Danny, I trust, even though they're a losing record and they're just not good, I trust that coaching staff and that quarterback way more, especially at home. Like, and
Really?
I'm not even trying to like hate the Eagles because my cowboy identity and my blood. I'm just saying, like, I truly, even if I wasn't a Cowboys fan, I truly trust the home team with the coaching staff and that quarterback more than I do the other quarterback and coaching staff. So I'm picking Cincinnati.
I mean, it's not crazy to think that, honestly, just the way that the Eagles have been so up and down this year. It's just, what scares me is just the inconsistencies of the Bengals offense. Like, one day they'll look really good, Burrow's passing the ball over the field, and then the next is like he's having to rush 40 yards and score a touchdown to win a game. Like, that's
But
what I don't
Danny,
like.
that's the same thing with the Eagles defense. They looked solid
True.
one game this year, and that was last week only. And that was they're playing Danny Pennies and then everybody else atrociously in the Giants. So I'm like, I'd rather trust what's worked before than compared to like one team that hit lightning one year and then they've been a train wreck since.
Damn, you got me thinking now. I don't. I'm gonna go with the Eagles still. Just the impact that AJ Brown has.
Okay.
I
I
think
get that.
he showed it. He showed it last week that the passing offense is a little bit more elevated with him back. So I expect that from the Eagles. Let's see if it's true.
All right. So we're split on this one. So the
Yeah,
Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. I mean, come on. Cleveland's going to whoop their ass, right? I mean, there's no question.
I don't know. I think Derrick Henry probably
Uh,
goes for 300 right here.
yeah, I know. Like, it could be ugly real quick. So let's just be fair. We're both in agreement that Baltimore is just going
Yeah,
to. You know what? You know what Brown looks like, Danny?
like poop.
Yeah, yeah, right on there, sir. And right now, Cleveland does not rock. Cleveland poops. So, and you know what, man?
So
Those Brown fans, man, they were booing when Watson got hurt
yeah,
because they
I
were
saw
mad at
that.
him, and they were cheering when he got carted off. I'm like, damn. I
That's
mean,
sad.
it's sad that they did that, but do I get it as a fan? I mean, if I saw Jerry Jones, that dude's not like walking away. So, I see it as a fan's perspective. Like, dude, like we paid you all this money and you have done nothing. So, and he's been hurt half the time there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Don't boo during the injury. Boo when he's like upright and you're getting trashed because of him. You know what I mean? Like, don't boo him and like cheer that he's like, I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean, right now, like you and I are both not Deshaun Watson fans. Like, yeah, I used to be a fan of his when he was with the Texans before all this whole
Right.
mess. But like
Right. Me too.
seeing what he's put women through and seeing the type of situations that he's been a part of, like that makes you root against him. And I understand that. But I mean, getting injured on a football field, like those football fans that were booing him wouldn't even want to imagine what that feels like, especially
Well,
tearing your Achilles.
have those same people, Danny, go in a straight line against Myles Garrett and see what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They would just drop on the ground and say, "Please don't hit me."
Yeah, play hurt, play dead.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So don't boo some guy when you can't be about it because Myles Garrett was like, "Dude, I'm I'm appalled at the fanfare. Like that is not cool. Which I get. Like you got to back up your guy, right? And agreeing, like he did say too. Like for the most part, he's been model citizen for us, and the most part. He said the most part of his career in the NFL. But I'm saying like you have to have your boys back. Like even if we're frustrated and you're like, damn, we're losing because of your ass. Like you have to show the pride of like this is our guy because
Yeah.
he's not going anywhere. So, but I like for us, like yeah, I can trash Dak all the damn time, but I ain't the one playing with him. But if I'm playing with him, I'm like, bro, like, come on, man, like we got your bag now. It's time to you got to do ours.
And I don't mean to spend a lot of time here with this matchup, but just speaking about the whole Brown situation, like, do you think this is the end of Watson playing quarterback entirely in the whole league? I mean, or do you think he ends up with somebody else?
I think he ends up as a backup because the NFL is not for long for people that are not good. But if you're good, sort of, and then you're a quarterback, this thing could be forgiving. Like I think he can be a backup somewhere. Just like look at all the people that are backups now, like Jimmy G, Jameis Winston, Joe Flacco. I
Wentz.
mean, all these guys that were like legends at first, and then their age hits them or whatever. Now they're backups because they're better than a lot of other backups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think he might be somewhere else. Imagine he goes to the New York Giants.
They need to stay away from him if they're the Giants.
I mean, I'm just saying. I've seen them do crazy things. Woo! Look at this. The Tennessee Titans at Detroit. Danny, does Tennessee get some like just trap game love here?
I don't think so. I honestly expected a type of trap game last week for the Lions. Like I thought, just with with
We both
losing
picked
Aiden
the
Hutchinson.
Vikings.
Yeah, I thought it was really going to impact them on defense, and they showed like they're still capable of producing, generating pressure, creating turnovers. Like they were still on top, and they started that game slow. They were down 10-0,
And even with
right?
their own turnovers, they bounced back. And we were going to be right. It just Darnold overthrew Jefferson to waste the time. That was the only. And I was like, damn. I told my dad, whoever has the ball last is going to win the game. Like that's just
Yeah,
this type of game. And sure enough, the Lions had the ball and it was over.
yeah.
But
So they
yeah,
they impressed me. They
yeah,
impressed me in the way that they kind of bounced back after that type of loss. I mean, that's a huge loss.
right.
Um,
So
and
they go.
and they're just go ahead.
No, you go first.
I was gonna say that they're just I think they're destined to compete in that division. I mean, they show that they could be the likes of the Vikings, and the Vikings were pressuring Goff like they were sending
Right.
zero blitzes, and they were just one step ahead of that defensive
His
coordinator every
accuracy
time.
was insane. It's all
Hmm.
about accuracy because 1 inch to the left, right, up, down, like that's where turnovers happen. That's where a lot of deflections happen. And then like Golf was just his accuracy that game was insane.
And now you're dealing with another I guess potential red flag with that team, right? Another distraction, and that being Jamison Williams, right? Him being suspended for
Yeah. Now, so
performance. And
and now it's like, is he really that fast, or is he really? You know what I mean? Like, because he's been looking good. I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe he's juiced himself too much. That maybe he was running by a cheetah, and they were like, well, all right, hold on, we got to test this guy. So
Worthy,
we
come in, show us.
so we both picked the Lions, Danny.
Yeah, gotta go with the Lions. And Tennessee's trading everybody away. Like, why would you expect a
Yeah,
trap game from them? You
there's no
know?
way. Yeah, they're giving up. This game though, man, watch out, y'all. We're about to have a barn burner up in Arizona and Miami. Oh my goodness, they're gonna be like 50 points to 50 points.
Yeah, that's. I mean, with Tua back, right? That's gonna elevate that offense for
Are
sure.
they? Is he gonna play?
That's what they said.
They were
He's
saying he
back.
started practice Wednesday. I didn't think he was gonna play.
Well, I was reading that he was in line
Gonna.
to play, but
All
maybe
right.
it was
Well, okay,
one
Danny.
of those false
We'll
reports.
we'll do that then. We'll do it as if Tua's playing. Who do you pick?
I picked Miami. I was gonna say Minnesota. I picked Miami. I think that's just what's been missing on that offense. Like they just don't have that behind center. Like, and so he's not able to distribute that ball to his playmakers, whether that be Devon A Chain or whether that be Tyreek Hill. Even like Tyreek Hill has had horrible weeks since Tua has gotten hurt. Waddle has been non-existent, right? So those playmakers are going to start getting the ball with Tua. That chemistry is going to start to get redeveloped. Um, and then also on the Arizona side, like, man, it was a hard-fought game against the Chargers, but it didn't blow me away. Like the way that they were barely in the game, like they rushed the ball really well,
Yeah, but
but their passing
Chargers are
game,
more physical than the Miami. Like I think Chargers are more competitive this year than Miami, even with Tua.
yeah, I mean Miami's, yeah, that's probably their weakness, right? Their defense.
The wild card. They're a wild
Yeah,
card because you don't never know which Miami team's going to show up.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Danny, this is going to be our second time that we split. I don't trust the quarterback in Miami right now, even if it's Tua, just because, like, what if he gets dinged and he goes out again? And, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many, like, what if he's rushing passes because he's not going to try to get hit? So, I mean, there's so many, like, fundamentals of the game right now that Miami can screw themselves over with. So I think Scramble Gamble in Arizona has the better vantage point at this point, just because he's healthy. Like he hasn't been dinged up or whatever. Like he's just running around. So as much as it's crazy and insane to me that I'm picking Arizona, I have to give Arizona the benefit of doubt.
It's crazy because if you, I mean, you really take a look at their season, right? The Cardinal season so far. Like they started off the season playing against the Bills, right? In Buffalo.
Right.
And it was a back and forth affair. They almost won that game. Like their
Right.
offense was producing.
They're like, yeah, a
They,
few games away of being over 500.
yeah, easily. And they go the next week and they lose to, I forget who they lost to the next week. And then the week after that, they play the Rams and they light up the Rams. They blew out the Rams. So it's like this whole up and down. You just kind of like the Miami Dolphins. Like you don't know what kind of team you're gonna get. So
Right.
for you to think the Cardinals is not far fetched, I think that it can happen for sure. It's just depending on which team actually shows up, right?
Yeah. On both sides.
Exactly.
So, man, this one's going to be a 10-7 game right here. The New York Jets and the New England Patriots. Oh,
Yeah,
Danny,
10-7 game. Um, I've been impressed with Drake May. Yeah, I told you this last week when he played his first week, his first game as an NFL rookie. Like he
Right.
looked good. Like yeah, he started off shaky, and then he found his rhythm. Last week against the Jaguars in London, kind of the same thing, right? He started off pretty good, and then he kind of cooled down, and then finally in the fourth quarter he found his rhythm again. And so I think that's the type of season he's gonna have. But the Jets defense, I think, will wake back up, make life miserable for Drake May, and cause him to turn the ball over a couple times. But I still think Drake May is gonna make it competitive.
Right.
But I still got to go with the Jets just simply because I trust their defense more than I trust New England's defense.
Man, you were hyping me up. I was like, ooh, we're about to jump on this Drake May train. Here we go. I thought you were going to pick the New England Patriots. Look at you flipping the quarter. As much as I don't like Dick Rogers, I think this is his bounce back game because the Patriots are obviously they're rebuilding. Like it's going to be a process, right? And
Yep,
Devontae Adams, I think this is the game that Devontae Adams just like, I'm here.
shows up.
Yeah, I'm here, baby. Come kiss me. And Roger's like, I'm happy again. Woo. Like I honestly think Devontae could like put up fantasy numbers against this New England team. One, because like you said, if Drake May gets cold a few times, then he's going to turn the ball over at least once, or he's going to give them good field position. And what's the greatest thing about Devontae Adams? If you start giving him red zone looks, like it's going to be lights
He's a
out.
red zone monster. Yep.
Right. So I think this is the game that they light it up for sure.
I feel bad for Garrett Wilson. Like this guy was supposed to be your number one receiver, has shown to be a number one receiver with crappy quarterbacks, and then now because Rodgers is pouty and feels like they're not living up to their potential, blaming others,
Yeah,
he gets
Rogers
another
thing,
guy.
man. Yeah, like now he's like, well, Wilson's not being a number one, so well, yeah, okay, well, throw him a right ball and stop throwing picks. I mean, that could be said too. I mean, but yeah, I think
And
this game they get on track, I should say,
okay,
at
so
least
we're
for
in
one game.
agreement there.
Woo, damn. So this next game would have been a lot harder for me if two wide receivers that were starters and that are amazing didn't go down.
And
I
Godwin shouldn't have been playing.
Well, honestly, Danny, the Ravens, that this is what's scary about for Baltimore for me. They let so many teams score in the fourth quarter. What
Yeah,
happens in the
Cowboys.
playoffs when it's cold and grunty and then like we're close and you do that all over again? Like they're gonna lose. So I'm like, dude, Tampa Bay was. I agree that Godwin was in because at the end Tampa Bay was only down 10. Then they kicked the field goal and they were only down 7 because that's why they went for the onside kick. Like they caught up really quickly, and I'm like, why not have him in there? Because like this team is the most scored on in the fourth quarter. The Baltimore Ravens are, and then two,
Hmm.
you guys are coming back. Like it's working. You got the onside kick the first time, so I honestly agreed. Like now, if you didn't get the onside kick and you were still down like 20, then hell yeah, like let's take out Baker, take out Godwin. But you were down 10 with all 3 timeouts left, and you guys had the ball towards the end. So I agree that they were like, oh fuck, maybe we could pull off a miracle because they came back really quick.
I saw that because they made a the Ravens passed had made a backward pass, right, and it
Right.
ended up being a fumble, and they
And that
scored.
and that's
But I
what
thought they were
scares
still
me.
down.
That's what
I thought
scares me about Baltimore.
I thought they were still down by a couple. Like if you're down by 10, okay, yes, I that's understandable for him to be in the game, right? But if you're down 16, 17 with 40 seconds left, like come on, you just have to take your L and prepare for
Did you
next
watch
week.
the
But
game or no?
I was watching the Cardinals and the Chargers at
The
that
other
time.
one, right? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
man, thank God my dad he put 2 TVs in our living room so we can like just pick what we want from show to sports or whatever. But yeah, so I was able to watch both, and that's why I was like, I get that fans are pissed because now our season's questioned, right? Like, because now Evans is
Yep.
out for a while, Godwin's gone for the whole year. Like, what do we do? And we're panicking. I get that from the Buccaneers fanfare, but you were coming back. So I get why he's in there. That's why the starter stayed in because I'm like, dude, they had a shot to actually tie the game. It was
Yeah.
Baker. Baker at one point, Baker was rushed a little bit and he rushed some passes. Or yeah, but other than that, they were coming back.
Well, I guess it's okay then. I mean, if it was that close, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, but
That I think
so
that's the one downside to having two games play at the same time. Is like
right,
for us,
and
we
then
don't have two TVs in one room. Like we can't do that,
well,
right?
and two, like stop putting it on stupid things that we have to pay for.
Yeah,
Like that's not good for fanfare. Like you're gonna like these poor people have to pay electricity, pay water, and all this stuff. Like I'm in a fortunate case where my dad, like we're comfortable and we're okay that we can afford things. So like we can do stuff like this. But it's like there's so many people that are just, they're working so hard just to pay the regular bills, just to put food on the table, and then yet you're trying to make them pay to watch something that they love. Like really?
it should be free.
You're right. It should be back on the Fox, NBC, or ESPN thing every time now.
Yeah,
But
you're
so
preaching.
Danny,
You're preaching to the choir there.
dude, trust me, that's not gonna happen because all these dudes want to do money and then people pay them. Danny, Atlanta Falcons or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Atlanta, I think, kind of similar to the Vikings, right? They're gonna want to get that taste out of their mouth. Clearly the favorite in their division, and I mean they already played them recently, right, on
Yeah,
Thursday Night
3 weeks
Football,
ago. Yep,
and that was
and
a tight, contested match,
that
right?
was with Godwin and Evans too.
Exactly. So now I expect to be a drop off, and I think Atlanta should win that one because of those
Those
huge,
injuries.
yeah, those losses.
I even before the injuries, because I've been an Atlanta lover since the offseason because of all the moves that they did, I would have possibly slightly favored them still. I like Tampa just because they're at home, but with the injuries, it's definitely going to take at least 10 points off the game. So, yeah, I pick Atlanta.
Okay.
If
So
the
this
if the
next one
starters
should.
were there, I might have like took a rib out of my cage and just went with Tampa just because they're at home. But with the
Oh
injuries,
yeah,
yeah, it's scary.
I'm with you. I would have split this one. I I picked the Falcons the first time, but I would have picked Tampa Bay this time just
Right.
because of the
Same.
tight, yeah, the tight matchup that they had a couple weeks back.
Right.
It left me impressed with Tampa Bay at that time, so it's unfortunate.
Right. So yeah, a great game now becomes a oh my god, what if game, you know? So
Yeah.
the Green Bay Packers against the amazing Jacksonville Jaguars, who won in London, Danny. Oh my goodness. We're off to the races.
Hey, Doug Peterson saved his job with that win last week.
I'm saying. Yeah, because technically, I don't know, because you guys are still going to lose, and then you would have had a better draft pick than the Patriots. So I don't know
True.
about that. I don't know.
Did you really? Did
I
you
know.
really
Did you
win?
really help, or did you really not help? I don't know. I mean, let's just say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3, Green Bay.
Yeah, Packs. Go Pack, go.
Well, not really, but I mean, just for this game.
Yeah. All right, that was easy.
And
Didn't
we
take
just
too much
talked
time.
about it, Danny. I mentioned to you earlier. What if Indianapolis starts sneaking up on Houston and look who's playing this week? Uh-oh, ladies and gentlemen, what's going to happen?
Another week 1 matchup, right? It's a rematch.
Because they were close last time.
Yeah, it was a shootout last time, but that
Right.
one was in Indianapolis, right?
And Ditch Rich was actually looking okay.
Yeah, he was throwing that ball, throwing Hail Marys.
Because you even text me like, hey, maybe Ditch Rich is okay right now. Like maybe we don't have to say that for a while. And I'm like, just wait, just let it rest. It'll happen.
Let it play out.
Yeah, let it play out. It'll happen. Man, this game's gonna be intense, Danny. Who do you have?
I still think Houston bounces back. They're at home as well. Like they can't afford to lose to. If they really want to solidify themselves as a leader of that division and not really have to worry about everyone else, they're gonna have to win this game, right? And so, with yes, you don't have Nico Collins, but you have to find the way to win on the offensive side of the ball. I got little Puka here with me.
Puka, little Puka.
So yeah, I think the Texans will win because they're gonna be more hungry than the Colts. Again, Ditch Rich is another factor for me in them not being a potential winner. I just feel like he's so up and down at this point. Like, if I was a Colts fan, I think I'd be calling for Flacco to be my starting quarterback because it seems like they're just more efficient when he's behind center than they are with Anthony Richardson.
And I don't understand how people like it's the same thing as Sam Darnold, right? Like, where's the love for Flacco? He struck lightning for you in Cleveland last year. Then you just like, all right, cool, peace out. And then now you're a way better team with him under center if you're Indianapolis than you are with Ditch Rich. But who knows? This one's actually closer to me just because we're talking about the Houston woes and like, are they like hungry enough? Like, I feel like they got comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, hey, man, we got Diggs now. We got Danielle Hunter. Like, hey, man, like, we're going to whitewash everybody. And it's like, no, man, it's still the NFL. Like, you guys got to come 100% every game because Ditch Rich is starting, I'm going to go with Houston at home. If Flacco was playing, if he was starting, I honestly might have picked the Colts.
Yeah. I mean, I think they would have had a better chance with Flacco if he was playing for sure.
Right.
But let me ask you this, and I don't know if you've seen these videos or not, but it's funny that they say that CJ Stroud is little broing everyone that he plays against, except for the players or for the quarterbacks that he loses against, right? But like I think it was a week before he played Drake May, and he was like, "Hey, player, like." Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, like acting like
learn
he's been
from your
in there.
mistakes.
Yeah, like he's been here for 15 years. Like, all right, dog. Yeah, man. He did it to Caleb Williams. Like, yeah, dog. All right, man. Just keep doing your thing. All right. I'm like, bro, you've been here last year. You were here too. Like, you're not even 2 seasons yet. Well, calm down.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. I really do. Like, to me, it just rubs me the wrong way. Like, you shouldn't be like if you're recognizing game, recognize game, right? But don't try to give like tips like you already figured it out. Like, you got to prove yourself too. Yes, you had probably like one of the most statistical
best rookie seasons.
Yeah, rookie seasons, and now like you think that you figured it out. Like we all know, like we know as fans, one good year does not mean that you're gonna have a successful career. Like you have to work at your craft, and then defenses are super smart. They're gonna pick up on cues and take what you're good at and take it away or try to take it away.
RG3, Ditch Rich, the poor kid that passed away from getting hit by the car, Hankins, right, from the
Dwayne
Washington,
Haskins.
yeah,
Yep.
Haskins. Like, there's so many quarterbacks that were supposed to be like the next big thing and just didn't work. And yeah, man, I'm like, Stroud, come on, man, like I've seen it, and then I didn't know he did it to Drake May too, but yo, dog, you been all right, man? It's all good. Keep your head up, all right. Yeah, I've been here for about 18 months. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, it's like, all right, bro, calm down.
And maybe I wouldn't have such a big issue with it if he was doing it to everyone. Like, let's say he did it to Jordan Love last week after losing to him. Like, all right, be consistent, right? Do that with everyone. Fine. Maybe that's a little bit better impression, but right now being year two, like little bro
Yeah,
and everybody,
he's acting like he's been through it all. It's like he hasn't
like he's
seen
Peyton Manning.
anything. Yeah, like he hasn't seen anything. All right, so we agree, Houston.
Yep.
So the New Orleans Saints, who have lost 5 straight, against the Los Angeles Chargers. Danny, who do you got?
Who is the starting quarterback in New Orleans right now? Is it gonna be?
Spencer Rattler, I'm sure.
Is it? I mean, I don't hate his game. He's just a rookie, like so you get kind of nervous about that. Um, this one's tough because I feel like they're kind of evenly matched. But you could tell, like not having Derek Carr, it does impact their offense. Like Kamara's not as effective. Losing Shaheed, losing Olave, like they're just a
So
completely
many
different team.
pieces. Taysom Hill hasn't been
Yeah,
there for a while.
yeah, I gotta go with the Chargers. I think the Chargers will probably score more points in this case.
My boy Herbert will bounce back after an odd night in Arizona, and just man, there's so many things that just went wrong, right? Like it was just some a weird, and
He didn't
honestly,
get any help from his pass catchers. Like
yeah, they
they
didn't
were
want to get,
dropping balls.
yeah, and then they want to get open, like, and then so after that, the front line of the Arizona was just teeing off, like, all right, man, like these dudes ain't gonna show up for the quarterback, we can just go hit them. So yeah, so I rebound game, the Chargers at home. Damn, imagine losing the Saints, losing 6 straight, like that's crazy.
Yeah, they were 2-0, right?
Yeah, they destroyed Dallas and Carolina, and then everyone's like, dude, this is the best offense in the world. And then after that, they're like, they
Crazy.
straight up just crashed. Like it's weird, and that was before the injuries, like that. So that's even weirder. This
The
next
roller
game is
coaster.
gonna be 2 gauntlets. Like this can be fun.
Ooh,
Buffalo at Seattle.
yeah, that's gonna be a good matchup for sure. Seattle, man, Seattle sneakily improving their team, and they've shown they can compete with everybody, right? They can compete with the Lions, they can compete with the Niners. Like
Right, Danny, who
they're
do you got?
they're. Oh man, this is gonna be hard for me, but playing in Seattle, the 12th man, I think is gonna make a big deal for Buffalo, and I think I like the way the Seattle's been playing defense too. Buffalo's been, I mean, they've been better with their with Rap and I try to blank on the other guy, number 7.
Oh, Johnson.
Yeah, coming back, I think that's improved their team. But Seattle, I think just them being at home is home. You can't go wrong with that. So I'm gonna go with the Seahawks because of the 12th man.
This is the game that the youth of Buffalo is going to get tested. They've never played in Seattle, probably. They don't know about the 12 man. They don't know how loud it's going to, you know what I mean? Like, this is a lot of nuisance to a lot of these young players.
Yep.
So I think it's going to really like have an effect. And then, yeah, Seattle is just going to end up out physically being more physical than offense and defense of Buffalo. So I pick Seattle also.
Is Okay. I was looking to see if DK is gonna play. It doesn't look like it's trending that way.
Yeah, he's going
So
to be
though,
out a few weeks, I think.
so he's yeah. I mean, they still have capable wide receivers. I think
Right.
Lockett's shown what he can do for several years now, and then now you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's taken a step in the right direction with his improvement as a
But
pro.
But this game, you don't want to shoot out. Like you just want to keep Allen off.
Yeah,
Kenneth Walker, dude, go do your thing, ground and pound, go crazy, and just like we'll just be physical.
yeah. And Kenneth Walker's figured it out recently. Like even going
Woo!
back to the
He's been
Lions game.
lighting up, lighting it
Yeah,
up.
They need to depend on him for sure.
Yep. All right. So the amazing Carolina Panthers, Danny, versus the Denver Broncos.
I'm gonna go with the red. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go with
Well, he's not
Bo
even
Nix.
playing.
I know.
uh, Bo
they're
knows.
they're lucky that the Red Rifle is not starting. No, I'm just kidding. No, Carolina's just so up and down. They're hard to figure out. You don't know what kind of. I mean, I expected a close game, especially after Jaden Daniels went down last week. I expected them to be in the game, but it just seems like with Marcus
40.
Mariota even behind center, yeah, they can't even stop that dude.
uh,
Like, so from one Oregon Duck to another, I gotta go with Bo Nix. I think
let's
Bo
go.
Nix is he's just improving week over week.
Right.
He's figuring out how to operate that offense. They're running the ball pretty well. At least they did last Thursday. So I think that trend continues here.
Yeah, last Thursday. I mean, I think last Thursday was probably the best they've played all year. Like they just like
Everybody.
it was close. Yeah, it was close for the beginning, and after that, they just took off and took over. So we're both in agreement. There's a lot of agreements this week just because one, it's just bad matchups, you know, and then other
Yeah.
matchups are hurt. So yeah, Denver for sure. All right, Danny.
All right,
Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell's the last quarterback to beat Patrick Mahomes, Danny. Do we see Raiders upsetting the Chiefs again?
Not at all. I think DeAndre Hopkins gonna have like 7 touchdowns in this game, and the Super Bowl run continues in Kansas City. Now, in all honesty, I told you know that I'm not a fan of the Raiders, and I think that not having established that quarterback position is really gonna dictate the success that they have this season. And even if you put Minshew back there, even if you put Desmond Ritter back there, like it ain't gonna help their situation. The
Oh, my
one
God.
bright spot, or I should say 2 bright spots for the Raiders, is going to be, of course, Max Crosby, and then now Brock Bowers. That dude's a monster, man. He's just single-handedly all their offense, essentially.
Danny,
So
what if I told you that the Las Vegas Raiders were going to give the Kansas City Chiefs their first loss of the year?
I'd say you're crazy. You're a madman.
Well, a madman has to do things what a madman has to do. And Max Crosby is the guy who has sacked Patrick Mahomes more than anyone in the history of Patrick Mahomes' life. And for some reason, Raiders defense has always given Patrick fits. They're at home. Patrick, like we talked about earlier, has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns this year. I think the Las Vegas Raiders does the unthinkable. Trap game city. Kansas City goes down in Las Vegas.
Okay, you mentioned Max Crosby. How are they going to score?
Because he's
That's what
going
I
to get
wanna know.
safeties. Hello.
Yeah, right. They wouldn't even award. They wouldn't even award the Raiders with.
Oh,
the
you're
safety.
right.
They
Because
would.
Patrick gets all the flags. You're right. They'd be like, "Oh,
Yeah,
you hit
it
him
would
too
be
hard, sir.
exactly
You need to hit him in his own end zone. That'll be a touchdown." No.
defensive holding.
The Las Vegas Raiders give the Kansas City Chiefs their first loss this year. Put it and stamp it right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna circle it, highlight it, all the above.
All right.
This is a pick we're gonna talk about all year long.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I am bummed out about this next matchup. I was really looking forward to, and I think we got robbed as NFL fans, right? We got robbed from the number
So he's
one
not gonna
quarterback.
play.
I don't think so. I mean, it's trending towards like
Ah.
Marcus Mariota being the starting quarterback. I hope he does play. I want to see how Jaden Daniels does against a good defense. I mean, he's shown that he can go up against the likes of the Ravens, right? So it can happen. He's done it. He's shown it. But I just wanted to see that matchup to see. I mean, we're talking about these 2 rookies who essentially, like you said, they're going to be tied to each other for the rest of their careers,
hip
right?
to hip, man.
But this one matters a lot because it involves the Rookie of the Year conversation, right? It depends on who's going to win that
Ah.
award. So
And
for that
honestly,
reason,
because both are playing well too, and how the divisions are, this game can dictate a lot of success for each team's division.
mm-hmm, exactly. Like this could be the start of the Commanders establishing establishing themselves as the NFC East leader, or their downfall. Same
Right,
thing
it's
could be said about the
50-50.
Bears.
Right.
Yeah, same thing about the Bears. I mean, the Bears, nobody considers them to be the NFC North favorites, right? But they're trying to reach
They're one game
the
behind. Like
playoffs.
people need to stop tripping out.
Like, come on, you got to be completely realistic here as well. And so, but I mean, we haven't beat like I was mentioning earlier, we haven't beat each other up in the NFC North yet. So these are the games. If you're the Bears, you need to win
Right.
because this is considered the winnable games before you start the gauntlet of the going up against the Lions, the Vikings, the Packers. Like you have to win these games because if you start losing these games, by the time you get to that gauntlet, shoot, it's gonna be an uphill climb, and then you're giving Washington, you're giving the Cowboys the opportunity to get that last wild card spot. So it's a must win, I think, for the Bears here.
So, Danny, you're saying all these beautiful things. Now, do the Bears get the win?
Yes. Even if Jaden Daniels plays, I think the Bears still get the win here. Not that I have more faith in Caleb Williams. I think if Jaden Daniels was playing, I would say Jaden Daniels probably has a better performance. But I would say that the defense that the Bears have, I think they know how to create turnovers, and that's going to lead to points. And so I think because of that, that'll put it's kind of like the old Bears. Remember the old Bears, Jay? You would always tell me who was our MVP, Robbie Gold, right? Because we would take the ball away on the opposite side of the field, and we wouldn't score touchdowns. We kick field goals.
Woo!
So
Hey,
same
it's
thing
like
here.
Dallas right now, sir. It's like Dallas right now. Like, red it up, we need you, man, because I can't score points. I'm Dick Prescott.
So yeah, I picked the Bears here, regardless of who plays. What about you?
the Bears. I think they're right now. They're ahead of Washington just because they've already started this building of regime, right? They've started 2.5 years ago. Like, let's get DJ Moore. Let's start the process of revamping this team. And Washington's just beginning. Like I said, like Washington has looked really good, but once the youth start kicking in and like things starts getting nitty gritty, Philadelphia and Dallas coming against you, like it's gonna get real thin real quick. So how do you stand tall? I think the Bears get the victory, and plus, as a Cowboy fan, I'm hoping the Bears win. So the Bears all the way.
So let's say that the Commanders do lose this game. Does this mean that they spiral from being the leader to now?
If Jaden goes out a few weeks, this could be the start of the spiral for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun.
I don't know who they play next week, but I mean, yeah, I mean, we'll see how their competition looks next week, right? So,
Yeah.
that
I was going to see these new teams kind of come up and they play New York. That's winnable, right? If he plays.
Danny Pennies, man. If I needed you more than ever, man, come on. But yeah, okay. So yeah, that's gonna be an easy game.
When do you guys play the Commanders?
We
Is
play
it
them
Thanksgiving?
later for some reason. Yeah, no, yeah, I think Thanksgiving and then maybe Thanksgiving.
We play the Lions on Thanksgiving. That's our first matchup against them.
Woo!
So see, that's you guys.
Oh,
play
the
New York.
Giants. Well, we played the Commanders last year on Thanksgiving. That's right. Yeah, for some reason we played the Commanders late in our year.
So you probably play them the last week of the season too, right?
Well, yeah, probably.
Dang, I can't believe we're already week 8. That's crazy how fast it's flown by.
Sad, sir. Yeah, we're about to be in the
All
holiday
right.
season. That's when
Ooh.
football's over. All right, here we go. Yeah, I mean, I
Who
don't
wins?
expect crap because of our GM and owner. I just at this point wanted to win 2 games. That besides our division, obviously, that would be the Pittsburgh Steelers, which we already got done. So that's 1-0. And this is the second game. Please, Lord, have mercy, Jesus. Can we win just this game? Can Dak finally get that gorilla off his back against San Francisco? Can he perform better? I highly doubt it. Like, I think Dallas we're talking about which team shows up, right? Between Miami and the other whoever they're playing, Arizona. And it's just like it's the same thing with Cowboys. Like, who shows up? Is it Dallas that's the capable Dallas, or is it because you have an injured San Francisco team? There's no reason why you should be losing this game if you're Dallas. I get that we have injuries too, but several of our players should be back. So there's no way in hell that Dick Prescott should be losing this game.
When
especially
is
if
Micah coming back?
he's a game time decision. Him and Blandar, but I think Lawrence should be
Nice.
back. Yeah, like all these guys should be back, especially if they're game time decisions. That means that they're possibly ready. So I'm like, if you're getting these people back, and then San Francisco just keeps getting injured, then Prescott needs to finally show his dick and show up against San Francisco and score more than Purdy's. Score more than Purdy.
So I think this for you guys probably lines up perfectly because Kittle is out. I don't think he's probably gonna play right now
And
as
I
where we
wanted
stand right
him
now
to also just because like how like
because
he
of his
did the
"Fuck Dallas"
shirt.
T-shirt.
Yeah, like I wanted
I knew it.
I wanted him there. I wanted them just to break his ribs or something.
They're gonna have to wait till next year probably or the
Uh
playoffs. Who knows
uh
if you guys make it.
yeah.
Um,
Both
but yeah,
teams.
no, he's gonna be out. Debo's dealing with pneumonia, and so he might not play. And then
Right.
Jawan Jennings, their other, is also dealing with some injury. So you don't have McCaffrey either. So I mean, there's just a lot of missing pieces on that 49ers offense. So I think it could be trending good. And if Parsons comes back, Lawrence comes back, and you have Bland, watch out. I think it's just gonna be the start of that chemistry building with the defensive side of the ball and generating those turnovers, right? So, um, because of that, I got to go with the Cowboys for that reason, even though they're playing in San Francisco or
Whew.
where Santa Clara,
Yeah.
wherever they
What?
play.
Yeah. We're. Oh,
Has
look at the
Dave reached
next.
out about this game?
We were supposed to hang out. I mean, he hasn't mentioned it recently, but I'm sure.
So,
But
you said you picked the 49ers, right? Did I hear that right?
definitely not. Never. Oh
All right.
man, the next matchup is a Super Bowl matchup right here. I mean, the Giants are gonna just wipe the floor and make a comeback. I mean, who are we kidding, Danny? I mean, this one's an easy choice, right? I mean,
Yeah. Pittsburgh at home. Come on.
yeah, at home too. So like, I think this game could go out of hand really quickly, and Russ would be like old Russ, or like with the Legion of Boom, like gives them turnovers and they just start scoring 30, 40 points. Like, I think this could be that game.
Yeah. Did you I heard a lot of negative feedback about Russell Wilson's arm. I didn't notice it, quite frankly. Guess I wasn't sitting down watching the whole game. But apparently, like his long ball was really weak, right? So he didn't get a lot of throwing power like he used to when he was in Seattle. Did you notice that?
What was his injury?
I don't remember. What was it?
I'm asking because I'm like, did some of his throws seem soft? Yes, but I'm like, this guy hasn't played for like a year. So like, I mean, he played better than Rodgers, and Rodgers has been playing the whole season. I mean, give some guy. I mean, he's gonna be some kind of like,
It's a calf injury.
well, calf. I mean, that helps. That helps your throwing
It
motion.
generates power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So I'm like, you got to give him a week or two, maybe 3, because I'm like, this is the NFL. He just came back from an injury. Like, his throws are not going to be like he's not going to go do a Hall of Fame performance. Did some of his throws miss? Yeah, but I mean, he was doing way better. Like, they have a passing attack finally, and that's what they were lacking. And now,
Yep.
shit, if they have that and that defense is roaring, I mean, Baltimore definitely has to watch out for him.
That's the one thing notice, and it's kind of like a double-edged sword because I know the one thing I did remember about that game on Sunday night was just the way that Collinsworth was talking about not having Fields on the field, right? Where I think there was
He's so annoying.
he is he is annoying to me, but he made sense in that particular call out because he said if Justin Fields was in the game, that offensive line had generated a hole for him to run through, right? And there was essentially nobody down the field, so Justin Fields would have scored on that play. But at the same time, when Russell Wilson was in the red zone, like you knew that they were going to score touchdowns because he was, throwing the ball to where only the receivers would get it, right?
Right.
Like that Pickens touchdown. Like those are the things that are missing with Fields.
And what I loved is that Russell also scored a quarterback sneak for the touchdown.
Yep.
Because like Collinsworth with his stupid, annoying self was like, well, if Justin Fields is out there, I mean, do we put him out there in order to score? I mean, he could just run it in there. It's like, dude, shut up. He's not starting. Let Russell try. Like that's why they're keeping him in there because they want to shut someone like you up, and they want Russell to actually score the touchdown on the quarterback sneak just so they can shut people up. And that's what happened. So it was awesome.
Do you think that his success is sustainable, or you think it's gonna be an up and down roller coaster ride for the Steelers?
Well, you got to remember too, his this team, especially this defense, is not rebuilding like it was in Denver last year.
True.
So, and even like the last 2 years of Seattle, like they were losing a lot of key pieces of what helped them, like, become the Seahawks of now. So it's very sustainable because if they give him short fields, and you saw, like you said, he puts the corner end zone throw with beautiful touch, then why can't it be sustainable?
True. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it goes back to the Bears' right idea where they create turnovers, they'll have short fields, and they just gotta
Right.
take advantage. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be quite interesting. That's one of the storylines that I'm really looking forward to this year is to see if he solidifies that position and if they identify him as a starting quarterback
Did
going
you
forward.
did you see Mike Tomlin's like press conference or whatever? Like what a
Yeah.
classic Tomlin, but straight to the in your gut to people that doubted him answer, right? And then he
Yeah.
just says like, well, that's why I'm paid, you know,
I'm
the way.
compensated.
That's
Yeah,
why
I'm
I'm highly.
compensated to
That's
have.
why I'm highly compensated. And then he just walked away. It's like hell yeah, bro. Stick to your guns, and it worked. Hell yeah. Well, look at the
That's
Lions,
awesome.
man. Like they kept poise. They stayed patient. They didn't sell house like the Rams and Titans and other teams do all the time. And look what they're
Yep.
doing, Danny. Look where they're at. They kept the same pieces that were there to like start the regime, and then they just built around them.
Yeah, and you got to respect that, right? You got to respect that because it takes a lot of balls for you to stick to your guns and really block out the noise from the media, from the fans, right?
Right.
And if you truly know that it's going to benefit the team, and just go with your gut and write out the consequences. And in this case, or even for the Lions' sake, like it worked out, right? They're showing that they're able to compete with anybody. They're have a solid team.
And we're talking about like needs and wants earlier, right? From draft or free agency and stuff like that. They get Montgomery. So it's like, oh man, we want a running back that can, be physical and just, get us through the punches because I'm Dan Campbell and I want to be physical. Well, what's our need? Okay, well, our need, like, let's get a speedster. And then so he can change up the pace and change up the rhythm of, against the defenses. What happened? Click. And Montgomery just grounds and pounds, wears him out. And then as soon as Gibbs hits a stream or a screen and there's open field, like what happens? Just boom,
Home run.
home run. And it's so awesome to watch. And then you have Ama Son Brown or whatever.
Amon
Uh,
Ra.
who's your mama? Like he's throwing touchdowns to Jared Goff. You know what I mean? Like there's so many beautiful things in that offense, and then the way that they can scheme things and do things, but like they built and drafted and went off to free agency for the right people, and that's what happened. And and technically they won out in the long haul with the Goff and Stafford trade.
Yeah.
The Rams were all in 1 year. Like, oh man, we're right there. Let's just go all in 1 year. Like the Lions were like, we can go all in the next 15. Hell, let's just try
That
it.
that's one of those rare instances in the league where both teams win, right? Even though in the long haul the Rams did not win, right? It didn't sustain their
Right.
success, but it still gave them a Super
The
Bowl.
Super Bowl, the thing that they wanted.
Yeah,
And then
exactly,
the
right? The
Lions
big
wanted to build a dynasty as a franchise, and like they got
it's
that.
trending that way. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's a good call out. All right, well
Whew.
that's week 8.
Man, what happened to Gabe? What's up? Is he honeymooning again? Is he in
Wait,
Seattle? What's
Gabe's
happening?
probably watching the Bulls right now. That's probably he
Oh,
ditched us
the
for the Bulls.
Bulls. Oh my god. Hey,
I'm
Gabe,
almost
watch
certain
it.
that's why.
Gabe, watch a winning team, please. Come on now.
Go watch nepotism at its finest, right? With
Yeah, come
LeBron
on.
and his son.
Yeah, come on, Gabe. dude. So all this morning, like I go to work or like opening or whatever, then like all the TVs, like they're showing like Bronny made history as the first blah blah blah. I'm like, all I want to know is they fucking won. Like, what the hell? Like, I don't care that they're there doing all that. I'm like, I'm a Laker fan. I want to know if they won because if they didn't win and they did made history, well, their history shit to me because they didn't get the damn win.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it's kind of weird and surreal to see JJ Redick be a head coach. Like
That's
to me, I still see him as a player.
yeah, and you know what? Like what's cool is that he's not gonna take LeBron's shit, and that's something you need if you're gonna have a profile individual with a league that loves high profiled individuals, right? Like the NBA is all flash and blah blah blah,
But you know
and
what?
like
He has leverage now, JJ Redick. So if LeBron acts up, what is he gonna do? Hey, you better watch it, motherfucker, before I release your son.
right, yeah, son and dad go bye bye. But yeah, like
Yeah.
I like Reddick because he's just one of those guys that like because they even players and stuff. He's like, no, man, like you guys don't understand. Like even when he was playing, he would coach us up and like go to the schematics of the game. He's like, but he doesn't take our crap. Like he's gonna call you out no matter how high the star is. Like he's gonna be like, look, asshole, like you want to win, like that's what we're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
So that's what I like. Like, I hate that they let Boston get to 17 first. Like, damn, I hate that so much.
Hey, but they drafted a pretty cool rookie in Connect.
Yeah, whatever is who's your mama? Like, yeah, you look at it, it's like connect, like it's like, what do you do?
Nike.
Connect, yeah, I know, right? But you know what? I'm glad that they got what like need and want. Same thing with the Lakers, right? Like LeBron wanted his son, and everyone wanted his son to be a part of the franchise, and blah blah blah. But we got the need first, Danny, and then
Yeah.
we got Bronny in the second round, which was great. Like if they would have like reached and drafted him one, I would have been pissed. But they got a
Yeah.
guy that can another whitey. Like it's weird when the Lakers get one white guy that can ball or two white guys that can ball. For some reason, it shows great history. I mean, with Magic Johnson, who was the white? It was Jerry West, right? Like they won
Hmm.
championships with him. When Pau Gasol, like he was, he's not black, but he's light complected. They kicked ass with him. Like it's weird. Like we build the team, and then like if we get one whitey, it usually does good. So then now we have two whiteys because the guy that I like,
Reeves.
Reeves,
Matt
yeah,
Reeves.
he's been there. Yeah, he's been there for a while. But like I like that he's gutsy, right? Like all right, LeBron, like you failed the game on. But like, if I need to get that game winning shot, bro, I don't mind taking it. Like, I love that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to see. I'm more interested. I know we're talking football. Sorry, people. Um,
No, let's talk about
but
everything.
I'm really interested to see what happens on Friday. The Yankees and Dodgers. I think
Oh,
that's like a heavyweight fight for the
the
championship.
most. It's gonna be the most prestigious, watched, mediatized, wealthy, riches to richer Major League Baseball World Series ever. Because now you got
I
social
think so.
media, you got all this, and now you have the two most loved and hated prestige franchises in the world of baseball clashing. And we talked about too, even though we always talk about football. I told you and everyone when the season started with the free agency and everything going on, LA and New York is on a destination clash to the World Series. And what happened, Danny? It
Yeah, it happened.
happened. I was like, oh, I'm
Man,
so excited because like I love my Yankees, but I don't mind the Dodgers. Like the Dodgers, they did Jackie Robinson, right? Like they changed the game of baseball, and they were the Brooklyn Dodgers at that point or whatever. Like I love the history of the Dodgers, so I've always liked, and plus they're in LA, Hollywood, like stuff that I love. So I've always rooted for them. So now I'm like, do I want my Yankees to like get even further with championships? Hell yeah. But if they lose to the Dodgers, I'm going to be less upset compared to if they would have lost to a Cardinals team or someone else in the then I would have been pissed. But now I'm like, dude, it's the best, beautiful thing that could have happened to Major League Sports. Like, I know you're a Cubs fan. I love the Cubs. But, like, when you go from the least watched World Series from the Rangers and Diamondbacks to now the two gauntlets clashing in the Major League, like, baseball world, like, it's going to be the craziest pandemonium ever in baseball.
yeah. And it's gonna be great. Everybody's gonna tune in for that reason, right? They're gonna want to see those two heavyweights. We have Shohei Ohtani on one side, you have
Woo!
Juan Soto on the other. You have Aaron Judge. Like, there's just a lot of
Mookie
superstars with
Betts.
both
Yeah,
teams.
like there's so
hmm
much going on. Stanton and Muncy. Like there's so much great stuff going on.
So that's gonna bring in a lot of viewership, but then at the same time, us in the smaller markets, even though Chicago's not a smaller market, but compared to these two teams, like they are, like not everybody wants to go play in Chicago. Not everybody wants to go play in Arizona or
It's
San
so weird
Diego, right?
though. I
And
just think.
so
All right, go. You go first, and I'll say what I have to say.
I was just gonna say, like, people are gonna be like, those haters are gonna be like, see, this is what money gets you. This is not a fair league. This is not an equal opportunity for everyone else. Like, you have to spend in order for you to reach this level of success, which it could be true. I mean, look at the I think the only team that I would say probably isn't so is like the Braves, for example. Like, they developed their farm system, they developed their players, and they've reached the World Series and won it. So like, that's an exception to the rule. The Cup, same thing a couple years back. But like, when you're talking about paying Shohei Ohtani 10 years and then extending that money through what? How many other, like, 18 years? It's just
It
it it's
going
unfair.
going back to the whole built your farm club, right? The Astros did it too, right? Like they got
Yeah.
Altuve, like when they built their dynasty, and then they got a few pitchers. Then they just like grew that team around with drafts and whatever. But going back to the whole like, well, you got to spend and win and do this if you're the NBA or Major League Baseball, whatever. Danny, if you know the game and you're $1 billion entity of an owner, if you already know the game, why are you going to hate the game when you understand the game and it's your fault that you're losing because you don't go after the game? If you're a small market and you don't go pay your best players and build around those best players, then you're going to stay a small market. Houston was a like for the longest time, the Astros were the guys that couldn't get it done, right? Like they only had one great year before the dynasty, and that was what the '04 season or whatever when we were in
Oh, five.
'05 when we were in
Yeah.
high school, right? Our junior year and all that. And there's so many other franchises like that. And then they like, let's get smart. Let's just be patient and build and build and build. And then now the Astros are a big market. So like there's so many teams that have developed into bigger markets through NFL, through whatever. Look at Kansas City. Like look how long it took the Chiefs to do what they're doing, but now they're a big market. Why? Because they brought in a coach that would bring in players. Then after they brought in a coach that brought in the players, those players were like, "Hey, go get us a quarterback and we'll ball out." Boom, they drafted a quarterback. Like you have to build an empire to have an empire. Like there's like Rome wasn't built in like 3 days and like, oh, Caesar and like look at this great ass empire and whatever. Like no, they went like years upon building and building and building and became an empire. And I'm like the Titans and like you're saying, like Titans like Hopkins and then Cup, like they're just giving in, like, oh well, we're done, so it's all good. And then you look at the Angels, they could have paid Ohtani, and then they could have just built around him because people would have played with him. And you're still in LA, like it's still in California with great weather and stuff. It's not because your
It's not
weather
just
is
the
bad.
city. It's not just the city. I think it's a lot to do with the prestige of the organization. Like, the Yankees and the Dodgers are like at the top. They're at the
Why?
pinnacle, right?
I get that, but you have to start somewhere. Like I mean, the Yankees and the Brooklyn Dodgers back then didn't start out with 27 championships to 7 championships or whatever, what they are. They built it because they wanted to win. Like it's like, all right, well, we're gonna like Jackie Robinson, for instance, right? Like the owner was like, you know what, I'm gonna do something that's never been done before, but it's gonna build us a brand, and then we're gonna do great things. He built that empire because of not only one player, but of revolutionizing something that's never been done. And then people are like, you know what? Why am I going to hate on Jackie when he could help me win? You know what I mean? And it's the same thing
Mm-hmm.
now. Like it's not in sports is a lot less racism, but at the same time, if you're going to have a spotlight, a quarterback or a great baseball player or something, and it's like, hey man, I know you're a free agent, and I know like the Cubs are not really a flashy team, but we have the guy that can win us a lot of games through his home runs and whatever. We're just missing you. Then you have that player like go, hey man, like go talk to that free agent. Tell him that you guys can be a dynamic duo and see what we can build around you too. Then booms, word of mouth, like, hey man, maybe like look at the Packers before like they won the first two Super Bowls, then they were nothing until the 90s, right? The last and then of course later in the thousands. But what happened when Reggie White became a free agent? You have to be smarter than your competition. My homegrown calls Reggie White, says, Reggie, I'm God and you're coming to be a Packer. Click. And he's like, what the hell? What do you mean? God? And he's a super religious person. We know that. He just got in his ear and just said, do you want a championship? Without even saying, you want a championship. He just said, do you want it or not? You're here. He didn't say anything about Super Bowl. He didn't say, hey, man, you're the missing piece. He dove into the psychological aspect to the man to build that empire. And what did they do? They won Super Bowl that year. Reggie, I'm God. You're coming to play as a Packer. Click. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be smart in order to win. Like, it's not just dollars at some point. Like the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Lakers, like the Celtics, the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Patriots, all that stuff. They didn't start with the greatest things in the world. They just built their empire to have the greatest things in the world. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of underlying factors, right? There's ownership.
Right.
There's the coaching staff.
Coaching. Yeah.
There's the support of the fans, right? So all those things play into. I mean, even if the Yankees suck, they're gonna have a huge
Following.
Even if the Cubs suck, they're gonna have a huge attendance. But like in the Cubs case, they're not spending the money. They're just willing to wait it out to see like who becomes available. And in that case, like if you're going up against a Shohei Ohtani, like he's gonna go play for the Yankees, he's gonna go play for the Dodgers, he's gonna take those conversations more seriously. If you're not, if you're not willing to provide him the max amount of money that you're willing to pay, and he deserves every penny. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. There's a lot of different factors, and I think with the Dodgers, with the Yankees, like they have an advantage because of that name recognition,
right?
That brand that
they built it
right?
So long that it's easy to say, hey, you want to come over here? Like, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
but
it
like
does it for itself.
But there's so many champions. Even not the Celtics. Curry's team.
The Warriors.
Warriors. Danny, what were the Warriors 30 years ago? They were
Nothing.
No one even pictured them as an NBA team. But they get the right coach, the right ownership, the right GM, the right foundation. What they do, they just built an empire. And that's what you have to do. You have to build it from the ground up. You can't just say like the Yankees weren't the Yankees before all those players. They were just like, and back then, obviously the Brooklyn Dodgers, the Yankees, there was not many teams, so it was a smaller market. So they New York had Broadway, you know what I mean? There was a lot of flash for those players. But now there's a lot of Broadway and acting, and there's a lot of glamour everywhere, especially in Chicago. Like there's a lot of great things happening everywhere. So it's just like, are the owners willing to get the right GM, to get the right player mindset, and then just build that foundation? And you just got to build an empire. Like it doesn't overnight. Like the Titans were talking about, like even Jacksonville, I said they blew up the team that went to the AFC Championship game, which makes no sense. How are you going to build an empire when you implode it yourself?
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough.
Well, with all that being said, I can't wait for this matchup. I think it's going to be one for the ages for sure, and I'll be thinking about you. I do hope the Yankees win. I'm not a Dodgers fan at all.
Yeah, so I know.
But Shohei Ohtani, man, he's a monster.
He's so amazing, man. To do 50 and 50, like, are you kidding me?
Did you see how much his ball sold for? $4.2 million. Highest baseball ever sold.
Imagine if you sold his two balls.
Oh, things would be looking good right now.
I know. He'd really be squinting.
Well, for those of you that stayed through the baseball conversation, thank
And
you
then
for joining
basketball,
the.
all that stuff. Like, yeah, sports
Yeah,
is amazing. There's so much stuff going on.
we were
Um,
versatile today.
yeah, heck yeah, and I love that. Like, it throws people off. Of, we got improv, and same with the people watching. Hopefully, Gabe doesn't disappoint himself by watching the Bulls instead of us, and then hopefully they win, and
We'll see.
hopefully all is good in Chicagoland. And then Danny, it's always a pleasure. Please like, share, follow. Yeah, I got to get that info so I can start helping you like cut or whatever and share and all that jazz.
Yeah.
But the Sunset, the Leatherheads podcast, ladies and gentlemen, always is a pleasure. Danny, always
Talk
great, sir.
next week.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. Talk to you all next week.